Okay, sorry for keeping you guys waiting. Okay, let's start. For you to pass WAEC literature in English, you must be very, very good with figures of speech. Like I said in my previous video or videos, figures of speech is the captain of literature. That's the reason why people admire the way literature students speak, talk, admire the way they construct words, put them together to create effects, striking effects. Literature is more than a subject. Literature is life. Literature is what you feel. Literature is the art of language. In WAEC, we study the figures of speech to enable you guys or to enable students craft words when delivering their answers, make them when delivering the answers to make them look really, really, let me say, professional. So figures of speech is, like I said, is the captain. So let's kick off from, excuse me, let us start from the very, the first one, the common one, figure of simile. The word simile itself is derived from the word similar. Similar, according to the dictionary definition, you're comparing is similar to has. You're talking about similarities of what her dress has and what your dress also has. So you're comparing two things. But in simile, you use as or like.
Boss, hello, can you hear me? I want to start. Well, you don't do your program. Why show you how? Okay, you don't. I just go downstairs, go online 5 computers, so I can say I find the wrong center. So I think even if I talk for 5 minutes, I take a break, I'm still counting it. I want to see if I can get 10 out. If it works, I will now start looking for a way to increase it to 100 students. Just pretend you want to talk to them, go live on YouTube, whether they are watching or not. Just 100 students for 1 hour and have 100 hours. So just imagine you keep doing that every weekend. And the plan, as I just go downstairs the program, I see they say, we are waiting on every day, I'm not going to talk 5 minutes, I'm watching for that 10 minutes. So it's actually the place I work for school. I know that when you go to the tuition, that 4,000 hours now will be able to concept now. But maybe the students come and if you see it, you still know what they want to if you keep the people, if you get like 50 students, going for 5 hours, whether they watch or they know, so they just go like that for them. I feel like I could just do a class for now. Let them enjoy anything. Let them do everything they make themselves. Use and no concern you. But you still know whether they will recognize them. I rather go back and see. I want monitor today. I want to see how the thing will come. But in your time talk, in your time talk. I'm not connecting now. I said, no, I do the other thing, okay. No, look at try to not try.
Okay, like we said, figures of speech is the captain of the subject, literature, and if you don't know how to use those words, you won't be able to create, uh, you will not be able to craft language, use your words to create effects. Okay, the first one is simile, and we said, we all know that simile, uh, the figure of speech uses as or like to compare two words that are similar, two things, two objects. For example, when you say her dress is as white as snow, the color of snow is white, her dress is also white. So you compare them using the word as. When you say she dances like he dances like Michael Jackson, you're comparing two persons now, what they do, their actions, the way Michael Jackson dances or the way he dances. If you say he plays like Lionel Messi, you're comparing two ways. Okay, how Lionel Messi plays his football perhaps is similar to the way this guy plays his football. Simile actually is the top or one of the top figures of speech. We have another metaphor. In when using metaphor, you compare two things that have similar qualities, but this time you do not use as alike. For simile, when you say the boy is as dirty as a pig, you just compare the boy with a pig. Not that you're saying the boy is an animal, you're just comparing the dirtiness, how the boy lives, with the way the pig lives. For similarly, when you say he's as dirty as a pig, for metaphor, you take away the ass. So instead of saying he's as dirty as a pig, you just go direct. You say he is a pig. That metaphors are usually harsh. So when you say he is a pig, or when you say she's an she behaves like an angel. Maybe she's too good. You just say she's an angel. So you take away the as alike and you just do a direct comparison. You compare two things that are similar. Okay. Now those two figures of speech, we call them comparison figures of speech. What they do, they compare. There is another figure of speech that is actually similar to comparison. We call it antonomasia. This time you actually compare. You don't use as, you don't use like, but this time you compare only popular places, human beings, or events. I repeat, so for example, if you have a girl in your class and you say, um, she's the Jezebel of this class. Now, that is, yes, metaphorically you can be correct. But this time you're comparing her to a popular person, Jezebel, the popular queen in the Bible. What she did was, I think she orchestrated the death or the killing of Naboth. She was a wicked queen. And so when you describe somebody or when you refer to somebody as Jezebel, you're trying to compare a popular person with the person, maybe the person's actions, maybe the person's actions are just similar to what the ancient person did. Actually, that expression can also be an allusion, but we'll get into that. So when you compare two persons, when you compare someone with another person that is popular, we call it antonomasia. For example, if you say he is the Usain Bolt of this class, that means the guy is an athlete. He runs very fast. Maybe he's the flash of his school, the fastest runner. And this time you are comparing him to somebody popular. We know Usain Bolt is world record holder, 100 meters and 200 meters. I hope my facts are correct. But this you compare with a popular person. So similarly, you compare with as alike. Metaphor, you do not use as or like. Antonomasia, you compare, but this time you use, you compare popular, you compare a popular person, a notable figure with another person. What about place? For example, there was, I remember there was a time, there was this fire outbreak at, this fire disaster at Ojo, the Catholic school over there. When we went there to see the place, it was just debris. So you could easily just describe that that scene as the Golgotha. Okay, you describe it as the Golgotha of. Just describe the place as the Golgotha. Golgotha simply means the place of skulls. If you remember that place, that was where Jesus was crucified. That was where he died. Now, historically, that is where they actually execute criminals, not just criminals, but the deadliest of criminals. So um, it's a bad place. Okay, let me think of another place on Tunisia where you compare a popular place apart from Golgotha. Sodom and Gomorrah, yeah. Sodom and Gomorrah they are both, I think there's a city that was destroyed by God with fire by God. So when you describe a sin like the same Catholic school that was kind of burnt down because of the pipeline explosion, you could describe the place as Sodom and Gomorrah. So you have simile, we have metaphor, we have antonomasia. These three, they compare, uh, they compare, they are comparison figures of speech. They compare two things with similar qualities. One of them uses as alike, the other one does not. While the last one compares someone with a popular figure or a place with a popular place. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Conde. Uh, let's move on. Onomatopoeia. Now, people sometimes confuse onomatopoeia for idiophone, but let me just explain this here. Onomatopoeia is a figure of speech that deals with sound. Onomatopoeia is a figure of speech that deals with sound. It can be the sound of an animal, the sound of an object, or the sound of a human being. For example, if you say the horse neighed at the sight of the lion, what you're trying to say here is you're trying to express the sound. The neigh is the sound made by an animal. Of course, the horse neighed because the horse was scared or is afraid of the lion. Of course, the horse meeting the lion means the horse might be served for dinner. Okay, the lion roared at the sight of the hunter. The word roar then is an expression onomatopoeic because it shows sound of an animal. Now let's move over to objects. The Christmas Carol title song, Jingle Bells, of course, bells jingle. Now, let me tell you something about onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia, these words that represent sounds must be found in the dictionary. Okay, if those words that represent sounds cannot be found in the dictionaries, then it is not onomatopoeia. Okay, so going back to the object, if you say the bell, stop jingling that bell. The word jingle or jingling simply means that the object is making a sound. It's the sound from an object, and only bells can make that sound. Okay, so when you say jingle bells or what are the sound? Bang, boom. Those are words that represent sounds, and those words can also be found in the dictionary. Okay. There is another figure of speech that deals with sound, but this figure of speech actually is not common. It's kind of advanced because people really use it. People use it, but most few people know what the name is, okay, or what it is called. Idiophone is a figure of speech that um, deals with the sound of an animal, sound of an object, sound of a human being. But this figure of speech is created by the writer because these words cannot be found in the dictionary. Okay, let me give you this example. A a Nigerian, you lived in this town, you lived in this city, and you kind of you lived in this town, you lived in this city, and you left the country for the US or the UK, and you stayed there for 10 years. You're writing a book, and you just want to feel home, okay? And you say something like this: the man slapped the boy, Tawai, or that I gave him a slap, bye, or I gave him a knock, coin. You see, those three words, Tawai, bye, and koi, they represent sounds in the Nigerian slangs. But those words cannot be found in the dictionary. Those are effects created by the writer for imaginative uses. Okay, so uh, those of you who watch or who read Captain Africa from the Vanguard newspapers, you'll find that you'll find you find those sounds there when you hear somebody buy and you hear the sounds of those cartoonic figures. Okay, you watch the illustrator just give some sounds. Those sounds cannot be found in the dictionary. You call those sounds into forms. Okay, so we are through with figures of speech that deals with sound. Let's take two, three. Let's take a 5 minutes break here. When I come back, we'll continue with alliteration and the rest. Thank you. Okay, sorry, welcome back. Let us continue with our figures of speech marathon. Speech where first letter of some words that come after the other consonant sounds begin a word. In many words, in a sentence, we refer to it as alliteration. Right now, it's still kind of confusing, but let me just. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds within a line. For example, when you say bouncing baby boy, when you say bouncing baby boy, the B alliterates because the B begins the letter B begins the each word in that sentence. Bouncing baby boy, B B B. When you say God made man, man made money, money made man mad. What you're saying here, the alliteration is M because the M alliterates. In the expression you find in the expression you find M at the beginning of each word consecutively. Okay? Alliteration is used to create sound effects too, but unlike idiophone, it has nothing to do with animals, human beings, or objects. It has something to do with the sound that articulates the ears, okay, that tickles the ears. Sorry. So when you say Father Friar Francis fried 5 frozen fishes for 5 friends from France, you say people will love that sound. It rhymes. Okay, it rhymes. Okay, assonance also is follows the same route as onomatopoeia as alliteration, but this time assonance is the repetition of the middle of a word. For example, the line from Macbeth: double double toil and trouble, action boils and cauldron bubbles. Okay, the O they alliterates double double, just like just like the assonance or consonants. The consonant sound is placed. The consonant letter is placed at the middle. Okay, so alliteration deals with consonants when it begins every word, when the letter begins every word. It deals with vowels, and the vowels are placed in the middle of words. Consonants, just like consonants, but this time the consonant sounds are placed in the middle. Okay, let's start getting onto the interesting figures of speech. For personification, actually, that figure of speech took its root from socialism. We do watch Tom and Jerry with cartoons, so we know what Tom and Jerry is. We know what Scooby Doo, the cartoon. Now, anthropomorphism simply means when you take the character of something and put it in another. Plus, thunder actually is not person, and sorry, I apologize. Not It's a lifeless object. So when you say the thunder spoke, you are describing the thunder as if the thunder has and the thunder has a language, and the thunder actually has some people that it can communicate with. Okay, so imagery, we understand color imagery and sound imagery. Okay, so when you say the thunder spoke, you're trying to imagine the kind of from the thunder's lips. Apostrophe. Apostrophe is another figure of speech where that people sometimes misconstrue for personification, but it's quite different. Personification refers to lifeless objects, but apostrophe You describe something that is not with you as if that thing is with you. For example, something that you cannot see, one, something that is far away, something that is abstract. You talk to it as if the thing is present here with you. For example, at funerals, you hear people cry, you hear people, you hear people talking to death, and death is not there. Okay, death is not there, but you're referring to death as if death is present there with you. Okay, death is not there at all, but you're just talking and hoping that death would hear you. Okay, some people who sometimes when they feel pain, they tend to blame the gods or other persons, about their misfortunes. Okay, so when you say, "Oh, love," you've been mean to me. You cannot see love. You can only feel it. Love is abstract. Talking to love is safe. Love is right there with you. Okay, send it a tree, move. Okay, so apostrophe, you describe something that is far away as if that thing is right there with you. Let us move on to synecdoche. This is here you use synecdoche to represent to use a small part to describe the whole. For example, one of the most popular songs of Tupac, the album All Eyes on Me, the title itself All Eyes on Me. When Tupac said All Eyes on Me, the eyes there represent human beings, not just eyes, okay? Represent people. So when you say all eyes on me, he could have said everybody everybody was looking at me. But that's why I said literature, figures of speech is the captain of literature. With the knowledge of the figures of speech, you can craft words, you can play with words. Okay? Synecdoche, you use a part to represent the whole. So when you say all hands on deck, you use the hand which belongs to people to refer to the people, or when you say she controls the heads of the village. Now, when you say she controls the heads of the village, you're talking about a certain group of people, the elders, the leaders, okay, people that make decisions for the village. But she comes in, perhaps she's rich, she controls them, she gives them money and tells them what she wants, okay? And she tells them what should happen or what will happen what should happen in the village. Okay, so synecdoche, you use a part of something or someone to represent the whole. For example, if I say uh, I saw claws at your doorsteps, perhaps you saw a wild animal. You saw a wild animal. Okay, so synecdoche again, you use a part of something to describe that thing as a whole. Now let's look at some a figure of speech that's similar to that, to synecdoche, metonymy. This figure of speech, here you use an item or an object that is closely related to a profession to describe that thing. For example, it's only the king or it's only kings that can wear a crown. I never seen a carpenter wear a crown, and it's recognized that as a king carpenter or a king mechanic. I just know that anytime you see a crown on somebody's head, that means the person is a king. Okay. And you want to make a comment without using the word king, you can use the word crown. If you say the crown has passed away or the crown has passed on, you're not saying the king. You're not saying the king. You mean the king is dead, but you did not use the word king because the crown that represents the king. Excuse me. If you say the gavel has spoken, if you say the gavel has spoken, you're talking about the judges because it's only a judge who can use the gavel. The lawyer cannot use the gavel, the politician cannot use the gavel. I think perhaps the speakers of the House of Representatives the House of Representatives in Nigeria, perhaps they use the gavel to call the House to order, but the gavel is mainly used by the judge. Okay? So you use something that is close, that is used by a profession to describe that person. So, for example, the soldiers are enforcement agents. They are the only people with the authority or the the legal rights to possess a weapon. Okay, so when you say um, just get for war, so that's synthetically. Let me take another 5 to 10 minutes break, please, and then when I come back, you found and oxymoron. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at. Okay, let's look at euphemism. This figure of speech actually softens or yes, softens the tension. When something is so harsh, you use this figure of speech to calm things down. You say some things that somebody will say and will cause trouble, but you say it will bring peace. Euphemism is the skill of telling somebody to go to hell in a manner that the person will look forward to the trip. You just gently tell the person and quietly tell the person that hell is sweet, it's a place to be. Okay? So euphemism, sorry, I was just kidding. Now, euphemism, you use mild or calmer words to describe harsh conditions. For example, when if you say the king is dead, it's quite harsh. Someone crown has passed away, or well, you go to the village to meet your friends. A criminal, it can be hard. So what do? You choose your words carefully. Okay, your son is a gentleman of the road. Worst case scenario, the girl is an exotic dancer. You mean a stripper? No. If you say your daughter is a stripper, it's even better than saying your daughter is a prostitute or your daughter is a harlot or your daughter is a whore. So euphemism here you use mild words to describe harsh conditions or harsh situations. Okay, so that's what euphemism does. Is when you say something you do not really mean, the opposite of intentions expressed in words. For example, when you say, "Wow, she's so beautiful," she came last. While you say she's so beautiful, what you meant was that She was not beautiful at all. That's why she came last. It's kind of mocking that he came last in the top 50. How can you say he's so intelligent when he came last in the class? Okay, that means he's not intelligent at all. We have three types of irony. We have the verbal plus the general irony. Then we have the situation irony, then the dramatic irony. The situational irony is quite comic. This is a situation where you are not supposed to be. You are not meant to be there. For example, you sneak out of the house through the window in your nightclub dress, and you run to the club. That with a partner, with a man. After 5 minutes, when you're feeling okay, you look up to find out that the man you're dancing with is your father. At that point in time, you're not supposed to be there. Your father is not supposed to be there also. At that point in time, you can't say anything. Your father can also not say anything. You can't say anything. Your father cannot say anything. You're just looking at each other because both of you are not supposed to be in that situation. You're not supposed to be in that place. Okay. Now that's not all. Why looking at your father, you can't say anything. Now that's not over. When you see your father and you're dancing, your father tells you, "Look up, look at the DJ," and you look up and you discover that your mother is the DJ. See, that situation is quite awkward because you did not expect to see your parents there. Okay? The audience knows what the characters do not know. For example, in the God's Anatomy, the audience knew, but she did not know. The writer did not know. Aderopo also did not know, but the audience knew. So that dramatic ironic effect was superb there. It's
You know, and if I walk around, it's the house that I not going anywhere that time now. That's in Sister Again. Who does that explicitly say? Now when they keep the problem. Yes, now the plan to go as the way they live in my home because they was looking on the provided solutions to that. You understand? Not the solutions to that. So you know, oh, you don't go. But how many times you work this school? They prepare food, the food went like, the work just was make all the things they want to say, oh, we see, and so we see. That was the main thing. Oh, Sha, to never record. No. We were talking to you. You go meet me, just stop.
Okay, let's continue with our figures of speech. Okay, let's continue with our figures of speech. We have oxymoron and inconsistent. They are two direct opposite words and they are placed one side by side. One. He said Nigeria is an oil below the dollar. Affects using direct opposite words, okay? Especially when you place them side by side. Nigeria is an oil-rich nation, like I said. We're rich in, but okay. Um, Simply means humongous effect. Most literature students or experts use it for. When Simba said to Simba was then a cub, of course, smaller, 10 times smaller than a zebra then. It's very impossible for the cub to eat a whole zebra. But what he was trying to say before he was rescued by a hippo and the antimon, whatever that animal is. Okay. So hyperbole, you exaggerate for the sake of emphasis. Okay. And hours. There's no way you can sleep for 1,000 hours, but you're just by the river when she heard that her boyfriend had broken up with her, okay. But not that she cried a river. You can but you just this is not the front, okay. So what look at allusion, allegory. Okay, we'll look at allusion, allegory, allusion with rhetorical question. Okay, let's look at allusion. Now, this when you make a brief reference, you say something like this: "I refused the money because she thought I was Judas." Now, talking about so allusion when you refer when you make reference to history or something that happened, something that had happened in the past. We call it allusion. We have the biblical allusion, we have historical allusion. When it says was a demigod, according to Greek mythology. Um, Prince Paris, Hold on Melancholy by John Keats. What do they call it? Okay, that's pawn. You play with words here. Okay, when you say pawn, you're talking about this figure of speech. You say paradox. When you hear paradox for the first time, it sounds so stupid. Okay, it's not nine lives like it. It sounds so crazy. Um, okay, let's look at drama, types of drama, and The word dress to grace, Latin, French, Hindu, and Tukumbo. Okay, so let's start. Tukumbo. Okay. Okay. I think I said drama is divided into three parts: tragedy, comedy. Connection is crazy. To four. Yeah. Personification. Tragic comedy. It's a blend of both tragedy and comedy. The play begins with in a ends with ends happily. But at the end, it became rich and successful, and all's well that ends well. Okay. Okay. Let's look at characterization. Char- Okay, for another 15 minutes, then we go off. We go on. Around characters, witches, he became overambitious. He believed that the witches are God sent and their prophecies must come to pass. His mind was also poisoned by his own wife, Lady Macbeth, and they both conspired to kill the king. After killing the king, that was when their wars began. A flat character war. There we go again with our network. Infinity wars, adventures, killing them one by one and making their lives miserable. He did not change.